Onyshkevych, 1983. Intrepid traveler who has visited all but 3 countries in the world. Fabulous foodie whose Facebook photos leave his friends with hunger pangs. Entrepreneur extraordinaire who made enough money to buy a car before he was old enough to get a driver's license. Sev is all of these things, but today we honor Sev, the Princeton promoter, who proves in manifest ways his deep devotion to the university. Where better to start than with the class of '83? Currently the treasurer, historian, and technology chair, Sev has also been a secretary, a member of the reunion committee, and a leadership solicitor. But to many, his most important role has been chief social networking practitioner. Through his adept management of '83's Facebook and LinkedIn pages, he has reconnected dozens of classmates and knitted the class together in its middle age. For leading alumni back to Princeton and to each other, he has been dubbed the Pied Piper of Orange, albeit leading his followers not to their demise, but to their delight. Sev has worked his magic at the Princeton Area Alumni Association, PA3, as well. Now president, in 2008, he volunteered to assist in the club's reincarnation, was the chair of both the communications and membership committees, and served as vice president. While many members of regional associations volunteer to do Alumni Schools Committee interviewing, Sev not only interviews through the PA3, but also across the country and around the world, from Nebraska to Nepal, completing more than 30 interviews in this past year alone. A member of the Alumni Council's Executive Committee, Sev has chaired the Technology Advisory Committee, which should come as no surprise, and now heads up the Princetoniana Committee. That too is a natural role. In Sev's own words, quote, "My life was changed when I met Freddie Fox, 39, who instilled within me a profound awe for Princeton, and more specifically, for collecting Princetoniana," end quote. Sev's friends suspect that he has the largest private collection of Princetoniana in his home, and many of his collections have been on display in on-campus exhibits. And there's more. Sev is on the grad board of Colonial Club and is membership chair of the Friends of Princeton University Library. He has been a mentor, facilitator, or judge for a number of student organizations and Keller Center initiatives, including the Princeton Entrepreneurship Club, Princeton Business Volunteers, and Tiger Lunch. Not last, and definitely not least, Sev is a P-Rate Marshal. He took on the responsibility of Decade Marshal and also the responsibility for upgrading the wine for the annual Marshall's Dinner. I will note that was in bringing in bottles from vineyards with Tiger connections, of course. Sev has written that his sole regret is having graduated in 3 years rather than 4, depriving himself of another year at Princeton. Sev, while that 1 year may have been your loss, your devotion to the university across the decades has been our gain. It is our privilege to present to you the Alumni Council Award for Service to Princeton.
Thank you very much indeed. As I look at this room, I'm reminded of the scene in the John Nash movie with the completely fabricated pen tradition ceremony. I'm not looking for pens, but it did remind me that in any typical year, there are about 12 or 13 people who are awarded a Nobel Prize. There are only 4 people that get this prize. Previous recipients that are present in the audience, many of whom have been mentors to me. I don't want to mention everybody because I will forget somebody here, but you know who you are, both in the class, great Princeton class of '83, the Princeton Area Alumni Association, the Princetoniana Committee, the Alumni Council in general. All of you, whether you're winners or not, have been my inspiration. There are two people that I did want to single out who were not with us that are also past winners that were my inspiration as well, one of which was Bob Rogers, the great class of 1956. And the other, of course, was Freddie Fox. Freddie corrected me at a very tender young age when I was a high school junior and senior, and I had the privilege of taking math courses at Princeton. I was a collector back then. I didn't know what Princetoniana was. I came across some old letters from the late 18th century written by students that were living in Nassau Hall. And I tried to figure out who they were. One of them was a classmate of James Madison's. Somehow somebody introduced me to Freddie. He took me under his wing, and for the next 3 years until he passed in 1981, he kept on sending me text messages. These are his text messages. And so, for example, charmed and enlightened by your volume of Philatelic Princetoniana, how about starting a collection of class postcards? Let this one be the first one. Glad to see your latest letter. Let me introduce you to the editor of PAW to print an article. He instigated, he pushed me. Since then, I think my blood has been orange and black. And I'm looking at the bottom here, Frederick Fox, keeper of Princetoniana, 1 Nassau Hall, Princeton, New Jersey. Say, how cool is that? And the fact that I'm getting the award that Freddie got many years before me just thrills me to no end. I'd like to thank my classmates, my fellow members of the PA3, my fellow Princetonianians, and thank you everybody for coming. Thank you very much.